Hey everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today for the session that we've called Startup Autobahn Comes to Detroit. And most of you on the call today are already aware of Plug and Play Detroit's platform, but we'll also be sharing a couple of brief updates in today's session as well. And for anyone that may not know me, my name is Adam Jansen, and I'm the director of Plug and Play Detroit, powered by Amplify. And our time is short, so let's just jump right in. Plug and Play has over 30 locations worldwide, but only about 7 of them focus on the mobility space until last month. And finally, after a ton of hard work, we were able to launch with the help of our partners. We held a session in which each partner was represented on a panel. We were glad to see that each of them had nice things to say about us. So despite everything that 2020 has thrown at us, we're proud to say that Plug and Play Detroit is now up and running. We're actually in the process of selecting our batch 0. In fact, selection day is a little bit later today. And in this session, we actually want to spend most of our time talking about one of our other offices. And that's, of course, Startup Autobahn. So Startup Autobahn in Stuttgart, Germany, they've been incredibly successful, and they've served as an inspiration point, kind of a strong benchmark for our activities in Detroit. They've been in operation for a few years now. They have nearly 200 alumni startups. They've done nearly 300 pilot projects between their corporate partners and their startups, and they've made over 5,000 corporate startup introductions. So they have 31 partners on board now, and they just finally wrapped up their 8th batch. And so for those of you who know Plug and Play, you know that that also means that they had their 8th expo. And so, as you can see here, they had a pretty jam-packed agenda, but it was all meaningful content. It was great. But unfortunately, if you look at this, very few people have enough time to watch everything here. And then there's a challenge of managing the time zone differences, because of course this is in Europe, and we're talking about the Plug and Play Detroit office here. And so we collaborated with Startup Autobahn to identify the most meaningful content for the corporations here in the US, and we're bringing you kind of the greatest hits today. And so if you look at this, you can see that it looks a little bit different than it has been. So if you caught the first 5 minutes of today's session, in which we had a slideshow, that's actually all from the last expo. So usually it's a couple thousand people who all come together in person, and they talk about open innovation and startup collaborations, and of course, from the startup's perspective, corporate collaborations. But yeah, this one looks a little bit different. I can assure you though, they executed their Expo 8 flawlessly. So just a few statistics here. They had 5,000 event attendees. They had 150 speakers and session hosts, and they had over 9 hours of total content. As I mentioned, today is all about bringing you the greatest hits of Startup Autobahn Expo 8. We're going to be looking at partner testimonials, success stories, and most importantly, the takeaways and the learnings which you can apply to your organization as you're looking to work with startups as well. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce my colleague and your host for the remainder of the session, Logan Hazelton.
Thank you, Adam, and hello, everybody. For those of you who do not already know me, my name is Logan Hazelton, and I'm heading the corporate partnerships here at Plug and Play Detroit. I actually started as an intern focused on the mobility expansion initiatives. That's when we first realized the Detroit market was a booming tech hub for everything automotive. As you know, with 96 out of the top 100 automotive suppliers, 12 OEM assembly plants, and over 2,000 auto R&D centers, it was an obvious choice to move to the Motor City, USA. Fast forward to today, we have been super busy swinging full force into our first batch. Let's take a quick look at where we've been and where our program is going next. In January of this year, Plug and Play Detroit released its first press announcement with founding anchor partners Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, FCA, and the Michigan Minority Supplier Development Council, MMSDC, making groundbreaking news that Plug and Play was officially coming to Detroit. May 12th, we held a CXO roundtable with John Absmeyer, the CTO of Lear Corporation, and Hakan Yilmaz, the CTO of Borg Warner, where they discussed how the leading Michigan corporations are continuing to innovate even in this time of social distancing, providing great insights to their best practices. Adam then represented Plug and Play Detroit on a panel at the Planet M Mobility Meetup on June 25th. He spoke alongside Michelle Suri Robinson, Chief Executive Officer of MMSDC, Catherine Snorrison, Director of Strategic Accounts at MEDC, Devin O'Reilly, the Director of Entrepreneurship at the Detroit Regional Chambers, and Brian Cabell, Digital Innovations at FCA, as they discuss the current trends, necessities within the mobility industry, and how innovation is necessary to remain ahead of the tech curve. July 8th, we held a fireside chat with Michelle Surrey-Robinson, the President and CEO of MMSDC. We were able to highlight how Plug and Play Detroit aims to promote diversity while showcasing startup pitches focused on mobility within Michigan. Shortly thereafter, we hosted Bain & Company partners Tom Wendt and Mark Gottfredson, where they discussed with us the economic climate, common mistakes when cost-cutting, and the best practices for innovating in a downturn. All leading up to the official launch announcement of Plug and Play Detroit on September 3rd, where we officially kicked off alongside our founding anchor partners, FCA, Borg Warner, MMSDC, and Planet M. Now that you see the journey we've been on, let's look to the future and see the upcoming events and engagements you can be a part of. Later today, following this session, we'll be hosting our very first Selection Day as an anchor partner exclusive event. We'll be showcasing over 20 startups for the consideration of our partners towards our next cohort of companies that will be running through our program. And for everyone in attendance here today, we would love to have you join our next public event on November 5th. We'll be hosting a Meet the Startups of Batch Zero collaboration event. This will be a fantastic opportunity for you to get involved in the program and jumpstart your innovation initiatives. So mark your calendar and tell your colleagues, because we look forward to virtually seeing you there. Now, enough about Plug and Play Detroit. Let's dive into Startup Autobahn and what makes it so special. As Adam mentioned earlier, Startup Autobahn has been one of the greatest success stories for Plug and Play. And our Detroit location is very much benchmarked against the same Stuttgart platform. They have served as our inspiration while we aim to accomplish a lot of the same goals and milestones. We see that by launching a location closer to the OEMs and Tier 1 and 2 suppliers, we can involve the business units directly with the startup technologies, ultimately achieving more pilots, proof of concepts, and strategic partnerships. This is a strategy we found overwhelmingly successful. But of course, you did not log on to hear me talk about it. So without further ado, here are some kind words from our fantastic Startup Autobahn partners.
Welcome to our Startup Autobahn Expo Day, the first all-virtual edition.
My name is Patrick Kück.
My name is Matthias.
My name is Andreas Mündel.
I'm Lutz Mauch.
My name is Tom Rush.
I'm Oliver Barnes.
I'm Michael Fübi.
My name is Naoya Nishimoto.
My name is Dana Goldhammer.
My name is Michael Demmer.
I'm Jean-Marc Möhn.
My name is Andreas Torker.
This is Edgar.
My name is Wolfram Ressel.
I'm Peter Fröschlein.
My name is Peter Middendorf.
Sophia Nader.
Jared Pohl.
Paul Jarek.
In today's times, it's not enough just to rely on internal innovations.
Technology is really moving fast worldwide now. We work together with startups because they focus on certain niche technologies.
Now, more than ever, companies need to open up their innovation activities. We are here to support them in doing this fast and efficiently.
And this is exactly what the Startup Autobahn has enabled us to do for the last few years, to be able to interface with the early stage companies that are sometimes our collaborators, sometimes our vendors, as we try to deliver better solutions for our customers.
Open innovations is the key of success for the future.
The Startup Autobahn is one of a number of global platforms related to open innovation and looking at really how startups can be incorporated into your organization to provide technologies and solutions for the future.
It's a platform where we can interact with other companies, where we can interact with startups, where we can share ideas, where we can learn from the others. Actually, the learning aspect is a very important one.
It is important to team up with outside resources, as the expertise of creative, young and inspiring tech startups will drive future developments in branches and fields that are new for industry.
We need to work with companies who can actually help us to find the right partners to accelerate our innovation track.
We can learn from so many other companies who have been trying to tackle these problems, and also we can work together on solving it. And this is why we think that participating in Startup Autobahn is important for us, as we reach our agenda.
I think it's a very intricate partnership. We are here to support the car makers, we're here to support our customers. They have great ideas, they guide us in certain directions, and we collaborate, we integrate those ideas by finding the right technology partners, especially in places like here where we can find some of these very exciting technologies.
Well, for us, the key contribution of Startup Autobahn is to really bring us together in a focal point with the various startups working on topics that are relevant to us in our industry.
This is giving us a lot of possibility to interact with other companies and to create new ideas, new ecosystem.
With Startup Autobahn, we are adding the thinker's spirit to the mix.
In Plug and Play and Startup Autobahn, we found a perfect partner with an unrivaled global innovation network and the proven experience to connect our corporate world to the world of so many amazing startups.
Not only that we have been able to meet more than 200 startups working in fields which are highly relevant for us, we also have been able to translate some of the engagements into products which we already brought to market successfully.
We have 3 very exciting pilots which you will see over the next 2 days.
In the last year we have achieved a lot and experienced overwhelming feedback from our business units. Several use cases could be further developed and tested together with the startups.
We don't know exactly where this innovation journey will take us in the end, but I'm quite sure that what we are creating together will be greater than what we can imagine now.
Working with Startup Autobahn was from the beginning for us also a vehicle to change the mindset in the whole company.
Our partnership with Startup Autobahn has enabled us to really engage our own employees and really create excitement about new technology developments and our own innovation capabilities.
Innovations contribute to our society, competitiveness, our ability to reflect, and our economic well-being.
Open innovation has a cultural aspect for our work, to open up, to jointly develop, to cooperate, and not to invent everything by our own.
It has been a great journey in the last 4 years, having all the corporate members come together and all of the startups that we have brought to Stuttgart from all around the world.
And now I wish all of you exciting 2 days, a lot of new ideas, a lot of possibilities to realize new ideas, and stay healthy.
An Expo Day during Corona is something special, not so easy. Nevertheless, I think Plug and Play has handled it very well, and I'm sure we'll have lots of great discussions and bright ideas.
I would wish that you all have at least one casual collision that changes your mindset, that challenges your mindset. And I think we as innovators are always looking for that. I hope everyone at the Startup Autobahn Expo Day has a blast and really gets to know new people, new technologies, new ideas.
I wish you an exciting, fascinating and a great experience. It will be for you and for me the first virtual Expo Day, and I'm sure it will be a great success.
Looking forward meeting you, have a great event, and see you all soon.
For all the participants in the Expo, I do wish that this is as much of a fun event that I have experienced in the physical expos. So I wish that Plug and Play actually is able to transfer a lot of this feeling, a lot of the chat, a lot of the very social aspects also to this new digital format. I'm very curious to see. Thank you very much.
I wish you a very nice Startup Autobahn Expo. I hope you meet all the crazy guys and all the crazy ideas.
Despite the challenging situation, I wish all of us another exciting Expo Day with tons of inspiring discussions and the opportunity to make new friends.
We hope this year Expo Day brings people, ideas, and companies together to create new opportunities.
Open their minds and dream about the future. And I can guarantee you, Startup Autobahn, you will be able to get there.
Let's keep innovating and let's keep collaborating, and let's not refrain from doing these things given the current circumstances. And before all, stay healthy.
Those are some great testimonials. Startup Autobahn has truly built a strong platform and network of driven innovators. Now that we've heard from the partners, let's take a look at some of the outcomes. Here are some relevant success stories and takeaways you can implement into your own business. In the first case study, we will hear from the Porsche team as they partner up with BASF and Motherson to implement Circular Tree, a fantastic digital CO2 tracking startup.
supply chain of a typical manufacturing company creates more than 80% of the total greenhouse gas emissions resulting from production. Although manufacturers are well aware of this, managing carbon emissions of upstream suppliers is difficult due to limited information on the complex underlying material flows. As you can only manage what you can measure, tackling the emissions challenge adequately will require calculating and minimizing the carbon footprint of products throughout the supply chains of manufacturers. With its commitment to producing cars with a low carbon footprint, Porsche and the whole Volkswagen Group set out to do just that by leveraging breakthrough technologies and strong partnerships along its value chain.
Decarbonization is one of our main sustainability goals at Porsche and the whole VW Group. In order to systematically reduce our CO2 emissions, we are focusing on the whole value chain.
This is Aigerim from Porsche. Together with her colleague Michael, Ian from Motherson Innovations team, and Andreas, polymer chemist at BASF, they realized a joint project in order to get closer to everyone's goal, the reduction of CO2 emissions.
Our goal is a transparent transmission of real CO2 data along the supplier chain.
Facing the challenge that our cars are assembled from thousands of components, each having a different manufacturing history, process, location, raw materials, we are looking for tools which enable us to exchange data in a more standardized and efficient way.
In order to create the whole picture, the involvement of every player in a car's value chain is inevitable. This means complexity and a large amount of data which has to be processed.
To fulfill our customers' needs for transparency, we need a scalable solution on how to transfer a big amount of information along the value chain.
Not only does the material supplier have to be included, but also the Tier 1, who manufactures the raw material into an actual car part.
Motherson's role in this is that of the converter. We take the base polymer from BASF. We then use injection molding processes, finishing processes, painting, sub-assembly, and then final overall unit assembly before we convey that part to the Porsche facility where they assemble it into the final car.
To calculate the carbon footprint of a single car part, multiple variables have to be taken into account.
The product carbon footprint is actually influenced by the design, by the choice of material, by the processing, and by the logistics. So you have to look at the entire length of the supply chain.
From the raw material to the finished product, the value chain of car parts is complex, involves many parties, and can often lack transparency.
All data is requested by email. Everybody is using customized Excel files to do the calculation and then transmits the results to the next partner in the value chain by email.
Unstructured processes and solutions that are not scalable are the biggest hurdle in calculating product carbon footprint today. And this is where Circular Tree comes in.
My name is Gunther Walden. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Circular Tree. At Circular Tree, we want to make it simpler and safer for organizations to tackle their responsibilities along the supply chain.
In order to see the real carbon footprint of parts and materials, a scalable and secure solution is needed. Optimally, it should include all participants along the value chain and should be able to connect to Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP, systems. Circular Tree's solution, Carbon Block. It enables companies to measure and manage the upstream carbon footprints of parts using smart contracts.
We use blockchain technology to ensure that legitimate information can be shared, while critical information and intellectual property can be maintained confidential.
And the process for their customers is pretty straightforward. Let's suppose you want to track and share the exact carbon footprint of a Porsche 911 bumper. The first step is to retrieve all relevant information about the bumper from the respective suppliers. Suppliers transmit this information by using a template that Circular Tree provides. But as not all of this information is intended to be shared, non-confidential product carbon footprint information is automatically generated and exported by the Carbon Block technology. The shareable PDF export of the data can then be added and recorded securely in the blockchain. In case of an audit, an automatically generated hash enables it to search and identify the original source document that was used for creating the carbon footprint information. The product carbon footprint of the Porsche 911 bumper can now be downloaded and shared. Circular Tree's technology has actually already been used. Carbon Block calculated the product carbon footprint for a car module from an existing Porsche produced by Motherson.
The solution really comes into two parts. The first is to have a consistent methodology about how you approach calculating your carbon footprint. What's included, what isn't, how you go about assessing the impact. Once you've done that, you then need to actually also have a common approach to how you communicate that information up and down the supply chain, which gives each party involved in that the trust and confidence that it's correct.
So in 3 months, a proof of concepts for a blockchain-based solution was built by Circular Tree, representing the value chain for an automotive part.
Circular Tree's technology then calculated the product carbon footprint as part of the proof of concept.
Based on these calculations, we are able to identify the CO2 hotspots in the supply chain and validate our mostly generic data together with our suppliers.
The CO2 reduction on our vehicle components can only work with our suppliers.
The challenge: finding the right balance between transparency and maintaining competitive advantages while protecting intellectual property. Circular Tree's technology offers every player in the value chain the opportunity to make use of one common tool, which can be integrated in the existing IT landscape and be scaled easily.
So we have now a better understanding what the end customer is needing, and we are also able to connect digitally with the end customers of parts made of our materials.
Although blockchain and smart contracts are only one possible solution to automatically exchange data and calculate product carbon footprints, the reasons to consider it as a potential solution can be summarized simply.
Blockchain increases trust in the system since data is immutable and every company maintains ownership about their critical information.
The project shows that CO2 reduction is possible if everybody is pulling in the same direction. Collaboration is key. Martina, responsible for sustainability strategy at iPoint Group, sums it up perfectly.
Listen to each other to learn what are the important issues of every partner, and then find a consensus. Get to a standardized approach on how to share data, and then just do it.
The more partners are involved, the more data can be taken into account and a more detailed calculation can be realized. Andreas has a clear vision.
We would like to share and discuss the digital CO2 tracking solution with the automotive ecosystem, and we are looking forward to validate the tool with more material suppliers, tiers, and OEMs.
What's really important at the end of the day is to get a true picture of the environmental impact of what you're doing.
And that can build trust all the way through a supply chain and ultimately to the end user that the figures that they're looking at are a true reflection of reality.
As you just saw, by leveraging breakthrough technologies and strong partnerships, Porsche was able to work together with BASF and Motherson in order to utilize the startup and track the life cycle of their products, ultimately achieving the goal of reducing the CO2 emissions produced during production. Some of the notable areas that help drive this collaboration into implementation include a strong involvement from the business units directly. It is always important to have everyone involved in the process be fully engaged and up to date with the latest news and status of the projects. Set a reliable and open line of communication. By setting regular meeting times and establishing an open line of communication, you can avoid a lot of still time, ultimately improving the implementation efficiency. Implementing a plan of attack. By setting up your KPIs and intended outcomes with detailed milestones, your company will be able to track the overall progress while staying organized. Now, in the next case study, we will see as Bosch successfully implemented remote support using smart devices.
Whenever there is a breakdown in a production line, time is of the essence. In order to restart the work, operators must get the malfunctioning equipment up and running as soon as possible. Oftentimes, this means that a technical expert has to fly out to the site and physically inspect the equipment, guiding the on-site operators to resolve the issue. Having an expert fly in from the other side of the globe to troubleshoot the machines is time-consuming and costly. Aware of global cost-cutting initiatives across all industries, Bosch was therefore looking for a game-changing alternative. Kai Bruckner is a construction engineer at Bosch Technical Functions, or TEF, in Bamberg.
The role of TEF is producing special machines for our own manufacturing departments in Bosch. So we are an internal service provider, and our machines we are delivering all over the world.
The team is responsible for designing and sending special equipment to Bosch's global manufacturing sites. In order to ramp up these new production lines in their remote facilities or to provide on-site maintenance and support, an expert from Bamberg would have to travel to the plant. Due to the significant amounts of time and money this consumed every month, Bosch was looking for a faster support solution.
So what we wanted to give our customers all over the world the chance to get fast access or fast support from our experts in Bamberg.
Through audio-visual communication via smart glasses, Bosch was hoping to enable faster communication and real-time support.
The aim is to help fast problem solving and commissioning of our machines or a ramp up of our machines in other countries.
To achieve this goal, Bosch joined forces with Oculavis, a provider of augmented reality-based service solutions from Aachen. Martin Plutz is the founder and managing director of Oculavis and leads the collaboration with Bosch.
We focus on our remote service application that's called Oculavis Share, and it enables cross-location communication for the industry, for machine service operations, for example, but also for training, commissioning, and other scenarios where you nowadays send a service technician on site.
As an industrial-grade augmented reality workflow and remote service tool, this software solution enables companies to make use of specialized expertise on-site anytime, anywhere.
A solution that consists of several applications. So on the one hand side, there is a web application that typically the remote expert is using, who's sitting in the office and not traveling on-site anymore. And in front of a machine, you're just using your tablet, your smartphone, or you can also use those smart glasses.
Their solution is device agnostic.
That means it runs on any device. And we then provide a remote video connection to the scenery with special features like drawing inside the screen and marking highlights on the machinery where the operator needs to do something.
The technology is basically limitless. Hence, it could be used easily to remotely support Bosch's Chinese manufacturing plants from Bamberg. Multiple criteria contributed to the introduction of Oculavis at Bosch, as Robert Elflein, IT process planner at Bosch's Bamberg plant, explains.
The main criteria for implementing this project with Oculavis was the possibility of an on-premise installation. This ensures that the data remains within the organization. Keyword is data security. Another reason was the already very major application from Oculavis.
With the help of Oculavis Share, Bosch's experts can now remotely connect to the scenery to get a view of the problem and guide their colleagues on the other side of the globe. Using smart glasses, the remote colleague can use both hands to operate the machines while simultaneously being given instructions from Germany.
And at the same time, he can share a live stream video with the camera on his data glass. The expert, on the other hand, can give hints via talking to the coworker, or he also has the opportunity to share his desktop, so he can share 3D models, drawings, stuff like that, into the screen of the coworker.
In addition, the coworker can see his own video on his screen.
And the expert on the other side can give augmented reality hints like an arrow or a cross and stuff like that, and help the coworker on the other side.
This saves plenty of time and money.
Because of this opportunity of this fast support, we generate a clear reduction of repair and maintenance time. We can lower our traveling times, and we have a higher availability of our experts. So to sum it up, we really can save costs with that project.
The impact from implementing Oculavis' solution can be felt almost immediately.
I think if you can save one time traveling, it's worth the cost. So I think when you use this few years, you can save a lot of money and has no relation to the initial costs for that pair of data glasses.
While the special machinery team had initially planned to use the technology for their own department, word spread quickly across the company.
The next steps are to define a standard solution for business unit in PS, the smart glass integration in our office network, and create interfaces to other Bosch applications.
This is a great opportunity for Oculavis.
This topic is now getting bigger and bigger. We received some new orders from other Bosch facilities all over the world, from Turkey last week. And their plan now is to equip all of their global manufacturing sites with this solution.
Bosch set out looking for a game-changing alternative in order to overall improve efficiency and eliminate downtime. There are many different ways corporations can collaborate with startups, in order to improve their functions. Bosch and Oculavis were able to find success by utilizing these key metrics: developing internal flexibility, adapting to the startup's technology needs by meeting them with a culture ready to react and work with the startup in order to guarantee success on both sides. Streamlining your training process can make the difference in a successful rollout. By properly training your employees in an efficient manner, it saves your company both time and money that can better be used on furthering other initiatives. Think outside the box. Not all your functions need to be handled in a traditional direction. By getting creative, you'll be able to open up the doors you never knew existed. And with that, we'll dive right into the third and final case study of today, where we will see just how Daimler demonstrates their successful implementation process with Ascon Systems, a new vision for production planning processes.
In 1776, Scottish economist Adam Smith explained the division of labor for efficient production, arguing that if each worker produced one component, rather than complete an entire product from start to finish, this would drastically increase efficiency. Cut to the 19th century. Henry Ford's assembly line, the Industrial Revolution, you get the picture. The speed of 21st century breakthroughs has no historical precedent. Compared to the industrial revolutions of the past, the Fourth Industrial Revolution is evolving at an exponential rather than a linear pace, disrupting almost every industry around the world. While the rate at which industry is evolving is not slowing down, the question is not will technology and society continue to speed ahead, but how can industry, infrastructure, and processes keep up? Meet Dr. Oliver Geisel, Manager, Digital Transformation Production Planning, Mercedes-Benz AG.
As you might know, our current environment for the automotive industry is quite challenging and volatile. So there are two major things that we have to be aware of, or that is asked from our side as production planning.
Firstly, is to handle large sets of production scenarios, to plan, identify, and hedge out what scenario will be sustainable for the future. Secondly, if there is a target scenario, then to realize it within a short period of time. This requires digital planning processes and flexible IT solutions to adapt processes frequently within strict time limits.
In our IT landscape, we have standard software, monolithic systems, and we have individual program systems, and both are very slow if you want to adapt them.
Bernd Ludemann-Ravit is the manager of the IT Digital Factory at Mercedes-Benz AG and responsible for implementing requirements received from production planning.
Adapt them. Either if you go from the software vendor, from the big software vendors, it's not easy to change them or get a new requirement. And on the other hand, with the individually programmed system, you have a lot of test effort and so on.
When we were facing this challenge, we thought of develop our own system because there was no perfect system that fit to our need on the market.
They found a lot of monolithical systems, but they needed something else. So they started to develop something on their own.
But we came to the point where we realized that's not the right way to do it because, of course, it's quite cost intense and also needs a lot of capacity, and you're not able to keep the same speed like the market. We want to have the newest technology available. So we came to the point where we realized we need some sort of framework that we can base on and modify it, configure it for our needs.
This is a recurring theme affecting industry players around the world. And this is where innovation must come into the picture. Meet Alexander von Klein, co-founder and managing director of Ascon Systems.
I'm a mechanical engineer and work in the software business now for many years.
With a context-based approach to digital transformation, operating in real time, Ascon Systems closes the gap between product lifecycle management and the real production world.
We develop software and software for production and production planning. I mean, everybody is talking about autonomous and self-driving cars, but we in industry are talking about autonomous production and production planning.
The challenge is the ever-changing conditions.
The problem is, how should that ever work if it is not possible to make new planning scenarios and a reconfiguration of the complete production by a few mouse clicks? And that's the question. And here we are. That's our mission.
Ascon is currently working together with the IT and production planning business units at Daimler.
We had an individual process that we had to implement with individual programming, and we had a project that took several months, almost years, and we didn't get it productive. And then we met Ascon, and they told me that they will implement it in a few months. I didn't believe. So we started a proof of concepts, and they made a prototype within several weeks.
One of the identified problems is that common IT systems are oftentimes too rigid. How is it possible to gain speed, find a better match, and achieve high flexibility in the production planning processes?
We have a software solution. So with our software solution kit, we call digital twin solution, you can build up very quickly applications and bring them into interconnection. And that's something very unique, because normally you try to build up a problem or a software solution in one system. And we go the other way around. So instead of making one software, we make different applications.
Ascon Software Framework allows users to easily adapt the workflow.
We can build single apps that interact to each other, and it's web-based, and that offers us the possibility to either work together within Daimler, much better collaboration, or also with our production suppliers.
Together, they have successfully implemented one of the applications and have plans to roll out additional production planning applications over the next months.
We interlink them, and then we can also bring the machines into that kind of communications.
Application machines are thereby communicating with each other, forming the digital baseline for future automation. One of the key advantages is speed.
We are way faster because in the past we had a set of planning sequences, one after the other, and they are not fully connected. So we had some paper processes in between. For example, if you need an approval and you have a paper process and you're working international with all plants worldwide, you can imagine what happens if everybody prints his paper and tries to get the signatures done there and the approval back, and you try to keep the overview there.
Now they have a fully digital process in place. Implementing the new solution has helped to speed up the process by roughly 50%.
It's all online and in real time, and so everybody has access to the newest information and to the same information.
I think there's the vision of the digital twin all over the industry at the moment, and I think it's necessary that this digital twin is not done with additional effort. It has to be a product out of the planning process, the production planning process, and that's what's the challenge that we want to get within Daimler.
Daimler is one of our most active partners on the platform, with over 280 pilot projects, showing us that in order to be successful, you must actively be working towards a greater goal and take the chances and opportunities when they present themselves. Part of what makes Daimler so successful in Stuttgart is largely contributed to these three attributes. Give your team autonomy by having a dedicated internal channel that fosters successful collaboration in an expedited fashion, allows Daimler to move faster internally, pushing the technology through a proven track. Simplify your legal process. Startups do not have the time or the funds to spend reading and paying for lawyer fees. By having a fast-track legal process, including, but not limited to, NDAs, master supply agreements, and statements of work, it will make working with the startups much more efficient. And lastly, assign a dedicated budget. Daimler has a dedicated budget that allows them to be able to continue to stay active while opening the possibilities to more collaborations. And now with that, we're just about out of time. Today you heard all about Startup Autobahn and Plug and Play Detroit. We highlighted the greatest hits of Startup Autobahn's Expo 8 and showcased to you the partner testimonials, success stories, and key takeaways that can be applied directly to your own corporation. Well, thank you all for joining Adam and myself here virtually today. If you would like any more information on our program, please do not hesitate to reach out to either of us via email anytime. And for all of our fantastic partners tuning in today, we look forward to hosting you later for our inaugural Plug and Play Detroit Batch 0 Selection Day. Enjoy the lunch break, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.